by removing the side panel and disconnecting the battery. Your bike, depending on the year, may have the positive and negative cables in different locations. With a 15mm socket or wrench, remove the nut at the front of the seat. With a 5mm Allen key, remove the two bolts at the rear of the seat. Remove the seat. Disconnect the fuel level sensor from the harness. If equipped with a California emissions canister, disconnect the line from the canister to the vacuum valve and remove from the holder. On this bike, the front mounting hardware that is being removed is 12mm bolts. On some bikes it may be Allen bolts, or in your case it may be different entirely. Move the bike to a well-ventilated area. You're now going to lift the back of the tank up on the rear mounts to get the gas to go forward so it will be easier to drain the tank. You're going to want to protect the motor from spills, which will happen, so place something absorbent near where you're going to drain the fuel. You're going to want to use a tool to clamp off the crossover tube. In this case, I used vice grips because I was replacing the rubber line, but you can use a dedicated line clamping tool. You're going to slide back the clamp on the crossover tube and then prepare whatever means of collection you're going to use to drain the fuel tank. I always use my jerry can and a length of hose, and I get it ready so when I slip the crossover tube off of the tank, I can immediately slip the drain tube onto the gas tank and then arrange my jerry can and drain line so it drains the best. You're going to want to loosen the fuel cap too to prevent a vacuum buildup while it's draining. And also, while it's draining, you can disconnect the fuel pump line and the overflow line, which is right by my hand there. And then you may have to shake the tank around a little bit to get the fuel to go to the one side so you can drain as much as possible from the tank before you remove it completely. Once you've drained as much as you can, remove the drain line and remove the clamp from the crossover tube. You are going to get some gas leaking out of that tube. Should be just a little bit at this point. And you can take the gas tank completely off the bike and access the fuel pump harness and disconnect it. Remove the tank and you can move the bike back into your work area. Now reconnecting the tank, you want to start with the harness to the fuel pump, then the crossover tube under the backbone. Now this tank may be slightly different than yours, but it's the same process. You get the crossover tube routed, and then you're going to want to connect it to the tube on the other side of the tank. And then slide the hose clamp up. You can typically do this with your fingers, but sometimes you may need a pair of pliers to do it. Move the rear of the tank into position on the tank mounts on the backbone of the bike. Make sure that your wire harness is routed correctly for the front tank mounts, that it's not pinched in any way. And then start the hardware on the front tank mounts. Do the opposite side. And go ahead and tighten up at this point. And then you can move to the other side and finish tightening that. Once the tank is secure on the backbone again, you can reconnect your overflow tube and the connection to the fuel pump, and then route it correctly so it's out of the way. If your bike is so equipped, remove the rubber piece that holds the vacuum valve and make sure it's orientated correctly and put it in position on the fuel pump plate, and then reconnect your vacuum valve to the canister line for the California emissions. Reconnect the fuel level sensor. Put the rubber protective washers on the fender and replace your seat. I like to start at the back with the two bolts in the back. Get those positioned first. And I tighten them down with a 5mm hex key. And then you can use the hardware that came off the bike and reinstall it on the front seat post. And then using a 15mm wrench or socket, you can tighten the front of the seat. And at this point, it's just a matter of reconnecting your battery. Install the side panel. Add fuel to the gas tank. You might want to put something down to protect the finish in case of accidental drips or spills. And make sure you put enough fuel in the tank that it will turn off the low fuel light. You're going to want to check for leaks after you fill the tank with fuel. And if you're satisfied, turn the ignition on and make sure everything functions and the low fuel light goes out.